The General Manager of BHP Collieries, Rob Chenery, said today that the company's aim now is to minimise its continuing losses at the colliery, but will just have to live with them. All other buyers, apart from Pico Wallsend, were eliminated long ago, leaving no other possible buyer. Now, BHP will have to do what Pico was prevented from doing by the government: cut jobs.
Yes, we've said all along there'll be changes, and we believe that both the government and unions are very aware that we will reduce the workforce, and we also wish to talk to the unions about work practice changes.
Well, it was those two very points that led to the collapse of the Pico purchase, so what makes you think you can be more successful in arranging things?
I think it's a matter of how Pico were going about the exercise. We believe the situation is that we can achieve in the way that BHP will deal with the matter. I think it's unfortunate that the sale has fallen through, and Pico just had a different way of dealing with the matter, and it wasn't acceptable.
One of the favourites for today's event was Wayne Stewart from Toronto. And while the birdies may have been elusive, the talented 17-year-old showed the sort of style that's earned him a spot in the New South Wales amateur golf team. The New South Wales side travels to Tasmania in August to compete in the Australian Amateur Championships and Interstate Series. Wayne finished the day in second place with a round of 78. About 90 players from throughout the region took part in this year's event, which once again has been organised by the Newcastle District Golf Association. Mark Rainey from the Charlestown Club took out the under-16 section with a 79 today and was third overall. Organisers say the standard of golf was excellent. But the winner of today's tournament with a round of 76 was Darren Griffin from Belmont. Darren played consistent golf over the testing Waratah course to take the title 2 strokes ahead of Wayne Stewart.
Wrecked car bodies, household refuse, broken bricks and old appliances litter this strip of Crown land. A small but enthusiastic band of workers hope to transform it into a recreation area. The 13-week CEP project has the backing of the Lake Macquarie City Council. It has made a truck available for hauling away the garbage and donated trees to help green the area. The workers have encountered a problem. Almost as fast as the rubbish is removed, new refuse appears. Usually it's dumped at the dead of night.
Well, currently we've amassed about 60 truckloads. A lot of it is from the past, of course, but mainly domestic rubbish, but also things like refrigerators, washing machines, quite a bit of building contractor refuse.
According to project manager Randall Clark, a small number of four-wheel drive enthusiasts are also creating a problem.
It's only probably a certain element of the society, but it only takes a few to damage the tracks and to spread native grasses off the tracks and damage trees on the side of tracks, and this creates further and further erosion on the tracks, and they gradually get even wider and vegetation just won't grow there.
The team believes it's important to preserve bush near residential areas and hopes with increased public awareness their problems will be solved.
The Maitland Jewish community built the synagogue, the first in country New South Wales, in 1879. Local business people, as well as members of the Jewish community, joined today in the official opening of the building as the new office of the Maitland Community Credit Union. It was used as a synagogue for only 20 years, before the Jewish community in Maitland declined and it was sold. In the last 80 years, it has seen service as a school, a dance hall and eventually even a machinery workshop. All of the synagogue fittings had long since been removed and the shell was in a very poor state of repair when the restorers took over. A heritage conservation order was placed on the building some time ago and the latest owners promised to restore it to its original condition while at the same time adding those things necessary to form their offices. Local architect Ian Pender, the grandson of the synagogue's architect, used the original plans to recreate as nearly as possible the old interior. Today, Maitland Mayor Peter Blacklow unveiled a plaque to mark the start of a new phase in the building's long history.
For supporters of the Newcastle Peace Forum, the joint facility bases, the ANZUS Pact and nuclear-free zones are important election issues. And on the campaign trail, ALP candidate Alan Morris and Democrat Ray Rendell outlined their party's nuclear policies at a public forum last night. This Saturday, peace polling booths at Stockton, Mayfield and Hamilton will encourage voters to take part in a citizens' ballot regarding the future of Australia's foreign bases like Pine Gap, the base lease expiring in October. Voters will be asked to indicate their choice, the termination of all existing bases, the renewal of leases or consultation with electors by the way of a national referendum. It's a campaign issue which Peace Forum supporter Dr Jeff Curthoys believes is more important than others.
Well, I would hope that every citizen would be concerned about the existence of the bases because not only for them but for their children and their grandchildren, the security of our country is really at stake, and it's far more important than taxation. Defence, war, peace are really vital questions.
What will happen with the votes from the citizens' ballot when they're collected? The clowns, and even the youngest ever daredevil trapeze artist, 10-year-old Rosita Gasser. But it seems as times change, so does the circus. And in the true style of a star-glittered production, ringmaster Ross Skivington performs his illusions, which add a magical touch to the family show.
We've got the lighting effects and sound effects and special effects and everything, and so it really has a very, very broad appeal, not only to the tinies, the children, the adults, but to young people as well. And they come along, their mouths hang open because they've had a good time.
And if you're worried about Dolly, Ross says he has the situation in his magical hands.
Look, it's been really nice to talk to you, but I do have to go because the whistle's gone and I have to find her legs, so we'll see you later.
That there should be some
5,000 miners packed Branxton to consider a coal company ultimatum. Accept changes to work practices and lose 700 jobs, reject the changes and twice as many workers could be sacked. Describing the tactic as highly provocative and bordering on blackmail, miners rejected both alternatives. They voted against renegotiating work practices and award conditions. Miners will also stay off the job for a further 24 hours and have banned overtime and contract work. Despite the show of strength, it was clear the miners recognised their livelihood is on the line. The coal industry has weathered tough times before, but now there's a mood of desperation amongst the miners. The union officials have a blacklist of collieries in the Northern District where retrenchments will soon take place.
Coal and Allied Group, of which there's 11 mines, and their position is Aberdare North, Chain Valley, Mount Thorley, Stockton, Wallara, Walls End, Borehole, West Walls End, There's washeries at Mount Thorley and Hexham and Minmore Walls End. Other mines outside of that group include Saxonvale, Gunnedah, Warkworth, Bayswater, Muswellbrook and Ben Waring, and we've currently
Union
been trying
officials say
to...
for every job that is lost, another 3 in the mining towns will follow. The workers say their backs are against the wall.
I've got a wife and a little baby to support, you know. If they sack us, we got no job, no money. It's just a big hoax to break down our conditions as far as I see it. I think if we give away things, there's be no end of it.
I'm worried about my job. I'm worried about all the blokes here.
Tomorrow, 136 workers at the BHP-owned Saxonvale mine will be retrenched, and if Coal and Allied sticks to its guns, hundreds more will follow. The miners say they will not give ground until the coal company owners start negotiating too. The miners also renewed calls for a national coal marketing authority to try and help the industry through the current crisis. In tonight's news, collieries throughout the Northern District stand idle as miners strike over coal companies' demands to change work practices. At Saxonvale, 136 employees receive retrenchment notices as BHP scales down its operations.
For all the news,
join us tonight
at 6.
In tonight's news, Coal and Allied hits back at claims it's holding mining unions to ransom. The company denies retrenchments are imminent at 10 Coal and Allied mines in the Hunter, but says it wants miners to change work practices.
For all the news,
join us tonight
at 6.
The caravan park at Stockton attracted the media spotlight last month, when some city aldermen said all vans, including 20 permanent residents, would have to leave while the park was upgraded, and then only tourist vans would be allowed back in. Now the permanent residents have been told that they can stay by Lord Mayor John McNaughton, who said the council had no intention of moving them and could not reassure them earlier because of legal reasons. The council now faces a second potentially damaging situation. Almost 100 vans are left in the park on a semi-permanent basis by people like Jim Mitchell, who use them weekends and holidays. They pay $7 a week to leave the vans and the usual park fee whenever they are occupied. Last Saturday, the Lord Mayor told the owners that because the land belonged to the Crown, the council had to remove their vans to allow only tourists to stay. The van owners have vowed to fight the order, and today Alderman John Tate said he believed the Mayor's information was wrong.
My information is from the Crown Lands Department is that the policy which will determine the number of holiday vans in relation to the number of tourist vans on a site, on a tourist site, is something that's being considered. The policy has not been finalised, but I understand there will definitely be provision for holiday type vans.
Or some aldermen say that you've destroyed a lot of the credibility of the council by speaking out over this park and actually divulging confidential information.
Oh, that's nonsense. In fact, what they're doing is trying to cover their mistakes by saying that. If you analyse what's happened, there have been gross mistakes made in the handling of this, and in fact, the way they're trying to get off the hook is to blame me for divulging what they say is confidential information.
Alderman McNaughton is in England at present, but this afternoon Deputy Lord Mayor Don Geddes reasserted that the council was correctly applying the department's policy.
The council is in fact managing the park on behalf of the Crown, of the Lands Department. Consequently, we are doing as we're directed, and we're not doing anything that we're not directed.
The council is again facing confrontation with Trades Hall over the issue, as this afternoon Secretary Peter Barrack said they will form picket lines if necessary to stop the vans being moved. The permanent residents too are standing solidly behind the van owners. According to manager Glenn Betts, landscape is a vital part of our artistic heritage, as it emerged as a viable subject matter at roughly the same time that the white colonisation of Australia took place. It therefore formed the basis of many early artworks and is still a dominant feature of Australian art. The paintings on display are an attempt by the gallery to obtain a cross-section of current-day artists' perception of the landscape. This includes the romanticised watercolours of John Barak through to a traditional oil by Graham Cox. Urban scenes too are included in the exhibition, as for many Australians, these are the landscape they are most familiar with. Organiser of the seminar, Jeff Patrick, says that breeding cashmere goats is a technology-orientated business and that farmers can't afford not to embrace this aspect of it.
It's only important in breeding the goats because we're at the infancy stage. We've got so much available to us if we use the technology available, the same as with other industries would have had they had the technology 100 years ago. We've got it, we are using it, we're embracing it and getting on with the job.
So there's a lot of potential for cashmere in Australia?
Oh, there's heaps of potential for cashmere in Australia.
Mr Patrick believes that seminars such as this play an important part in getting the latest information out to the man on the land. And so apparently do the breeders. 65 have paid the $95 registration fee and many have travelled long distances to hear from experts on embryo transfer, artificial insemination and computer programs for managing herds. The hunter now has roughly 40 registered breeders and this is the first conference ever held here. The goats weren't invited, so they sent a representative along just to keep an eye on things.
In tonight's news, tennis enjoys a boom period in the aftermath of Wimbledon. In Newcastle, tennis camps began today with hundreds of youngsters taking advantage of the school holidays to hone their game.
For all the news,
join us tonight
at 6.
Tonight's news at 6, National Aborigines Week begins today. We take a look at local celebrations with the theme this year, the coming together of Aborigines and non-Aborigines.
For all the news,
join us tonight
at 6.
With the introduction of the Starcrest designed video poker machine, it looks like the old conventional reel machines will take a big step sideways in the gaming industry. For around $6,000, those in the hotel industries throughout New South Wales and the ACT can now purchase the world's only animated draw card poker machine. And just to make today's launch of Georgetown's Aristocrat showroom a little more memorable, Wild Ned's namesake kept everything under control. At present, the credit payment isn't in cash, but that's about to change in September, according to the General Sales Manager of Ainsworth Distributions, David Cleary. So why bring pictures into the game of poker?
It's never been done before, and we've put the animation there to make it more interesting for the player. And we feel that in the hotel industry throughout New South Wales and the ACT, that this machine will provide more enjoyment for the players.
Ainsworth is Australia's largest manufacturer of poker machines. Wild Ned is tipped to attract full houses. It's just all in the draw of the cards. A world first for Newcastle today when the only animated poker machine displayed the latest in video gaming. It's hoped the Australian-designed Wild Ned will soon be exported to 27 overseas countries.
For all the news,
join us tonight
at 6.
For most people, cattle are just that, cattle. There doesn't seem to be a lot between a champion and an also-ran. But to the cattle judge, there's a great deal to whether an animal deserves the champion's sash or nothing at all. Participants in this year's seminar have come from as far away as Queensland and southern New South Wales. And once again this year, a group of students from the Gloucester High School is taking time off holidays to take part. Some of Australia's top show cattle judges have come from these ranks. But the seminar aims to do more. It's been designed to cater for people in the cattle industry interested in improving their eye for better quality animals.
Well, the aim of it is to teach the participants the good and bad points of cattle, to teach them how to assess cattle for fat, for muscle and for functional attributes. And I think that, you know, by the end of the time, although they mightn't know very much when they first get here, it's amazing the improvement that takes place by tomorrow afternoon.
There are a fair smattering of these types of things that are run right around Australia. I think it's very important that venues like these operate to allow for a pretty fruitful interchange of ideas on what's important in cattle. Often within some of the show situations it's very easy to lose track of priorities, and I think educational discussion ventures like this are very, very important to provide people with a pretty big balance of views.
On Thursday, the participants go to the Hamilton TAFE College to try out their skills assessing carcasses.